Welcome to the Gaming Coffee Club, episode number 2, where we discuss all the latest and greatest and biggest PlayStation news right here on Pure PSX. If you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, awesome. And if you're listening to the audio version on Spotify, on Amazon, on Apple Podcasts, or YouTube Music, wherever, thank you very much for joining us. Let's get into the first news story. So our first story is perfect for this podcast, which is the Gaming Coffee Club, because it is a coffee table book for the first 30 years of PlayStation. This thing is dropping in spring 2026, but it is up for pre-order right now. It's very cool looking and very expensive. It is a big 5 kilogram book, which is, in the PlayStation 1 colorway. It looks like that felt type hardback book. It's got 400 pages and it will cost you a whopping £95 for the standard edition. Yeah, that's the standard edition. Oh, I really want this, but can I justify £95 for a coffee table book? I don't even have a coffee table. So yeah, I don't know. But then the deluxe edition is eye-watering. It is £245. So that's probably about $300 if you're in the US or not far from it. And it just looks like the exact same as the standard edition. It looks like it may have a protective box type case you sit it in, and the box interior looks like it's got some of the circuit boards from some PlayStation hardware, and we can see what the box looks like on the outside. It's just that it actually looks kind of like a PlayStation console, like the PlayStation 4 with the PlayStation logo stamped right in the middle. And then there's also another image here which looks like an early mock-up of one of the early PlayStation controllers. I have no idea if that is a print you get with it or some sort of poster or anything. It really doesn't tell you, because when you actually click on it, it doesn't tell you much about it at all. So it just tells you across 400 pages, it showcases never before seen prototypes, consoles, controllers, and design studies alongside insights from the engineers and designers who shaped PlayStation's identity. So that is a very cool product, in my opinion. The limited edition one, or the deluxe edition, is limited to 1,994 copies. That is because that is when the PlayStation launched way back in 1994, the good old 90s. So if you want to get your hands on one of these, I will leave the link down below for you to check this out. I don't know if you do need to be quick. I don't know when this went up for pre-order, but 458 of them have been purchased so far out of the 1,994. But the standard edition, £95 for one of these books. Can we see a bit more about it? I am tempted. I'm not going to lie, because I did grow up with PlayStation. It has a place in my heart. I have a soft spot for it, and some of the imagery here looks fantastic, because there's a lot of like early stage prototypes for the controllers and just how different they could have looked, and even the branding with the logos. So it's interesting. I think for PlayStation super fans, this might be a good purchase. If you have a very fancy coffee table and you're a gamer, why not get this to sit it on your coffee table? Maybe I need to get a coffee table first, or maybe I should just buy this and do a video on it and show it off to you all. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Should I pick one up? Will you be picking one up? And that is one really cool product for the 30-year anniversary of PlayStation. But there's another one which I think looks pretty terrible, and it is PlayStation X Reebok 30th anniversary sneakers. Now, I love my sneakers. I've got plenty of pairs of like Jordan 1s and Dunks and Air Max and stuff like that. But man, nothing against Reebok, but geez, these look terrible. If I can describe these for you for the audio listeners, they look like they were obviously designed in the 90s, and they look like they have been worn from the 90s. They have that kind of distressed, discolored, used look, which I don't like. Some people might like them, but these are a hard pass from me. Moving on to our next story, which kind of is 90s esque, I guess, but a PlayStation game is getting a free update, and there's a weird reason why it's getting that. And it is the legendary Croc, Legend of the Gobos. Who remembers that on the PlayStation 1? I thought that game was just fantastic. I had a demo disc of that. I played so much, and I loved it so much because I always wanted an N64 as a kid, as well as my PlayStation. You know, I was just greedy like that. I love my games and my gadgets, and I never got one. So Croc to me was like the closest thing to Super Mario 64. So whenever I saw Croc, I was like, wow, amazing. But there has been a remaster which has been out for a while, and that is Croc Legend of the Gobos Remaster, but it didn't include enough trophies to qualify for a Platinum Trophy, which is kind of bizarre. And now they're fixing that in a strange way with this free update, which is appropriately titled the Platinum Edition update, because apparently Sony doesn't allow developers to fix the lack of a Platinum Trophy with a patch. So Argonaut Software here are having to replace the original listing with this new version, and existing owners will be entitled to a free upgrade. So there's going to be a new time attack, a new time trial gameplay mode, called Time Attack, 25 new additions to the Crocpedia, and, you know, a whole bunch of bug fixes, and then you're getting enough trophies to get your platinum in this game. So this is cool that it's free. You don't need to pay for it if you've already purchased the game on PS4 and PS5. But kind of random how Sony doesn't just let them update to get a platinum trophy. Any Croc fans listening or watching, I would like like an actual new version of Croc. I think someone could do a good job at that. That would be nice to see when you think of the success of Astrobot. Yeah, give Croc another crack at the whip. Speaking of another game which is old but new, we have got House of the Dead 2 Remake has now got its launch date for PlayStation 5, which is October the 24th. So not got long to wait for that. This is an interesting one because it has already been out for a while. I think it came out on August, yes, on PC and Nintendo Switch, and it was a buggy mess. This did not review well. People did not like it. Personally, I've not played this yet on the Nintendo Switch or on PC. I did pick up the first version of House of the Dead remake, so not 2. 1, they also remade the original one. I quite enjoyed it. I picked up on the Switch though, because you can then use, the motion controls of the Joy-Cons. These games, I love. These are basically light gun on the rail shooter games. If you are super young or you have no idea what these are, but these are just classic arcade games where you'd have a light gun and you'd blast your way through it and have an absolute top time. These are a bit of a lost breed in the gaming world right now, these games, and I would love for them to make a comeback, but I don't think this is the way to do it. There's two ways to get games like this, I would say, more widely hyped and people excited for them. One is we need a light gun attachment for our new consoles, and I know people are going to say you can't use them with new LCD and OLED screens and stuff like that. We used to use them back in the day on our older televisions, and they worked perfectly with them. The PlayStation 1 had the G-Con 45, which was amazing for Time Crisis. But recently there has been, I think it was on Kickstarter, there was a company which have developed using AI a light gun that you can use with modern consoles, and they were selling it with their licensed Time Crisis console that basically had Time Crisis on it, Point Blank, and one or two other Namco classic light gun games. So I'd love to see an attachment like this being made and released on PlayStation. I, for one, would definitely pick that up. Can you imagine if we got a whole bunch of Time Crisis light gun games? Oh yes, sign me up. Number two, the other option, which I can't believe everyone seems to be glazing over, is this game here. If it was not a buggy mess and they've fixed these bugs, which hopefully they have for its launch, imagine this with PSVR 2. You can use the motion sensors on, the PSVR 2 controllers and have a light gun VR game. That would be top banter. I would love that. I really, really hope that they pick these things up, and I hope these this format of games, light gun games, on the rail shooter games. It just makes a return. So many classics, your Time Crisis games, your Point Blank. There's multiple House of the Dead games, even from Sega as well. Virtua Cop. Wow, I would love that. That would make me very, very happy. For our next story, we are heading over to Insider Gaming, where we have more bad news for Mind's Eye, which was a game which launched this year, and it was a flop. It did not review well. It was a bit of a buggy mess when it launched, and the developers of that game are accusing Build a Rocket Boy of mistreatment. Nearly 100 past and present employees at Mind's Eye developer Build a Rocket Boy have signed an open letter against the studio for its long-standing disrespect and mistreatment of staff. That does not sound good. We do not like to hear that. And does this possibly reflect why the product was in such a bad state when it launched? If you've got an unhappy and mistreated workforce, as this article alleges. So after the poorly received launch of Mind's Eye, Build a Rocket Boy laid off what the union says was 250 to 300 people because of their refusal to listen to your workforce's years of experience, resulting in one of the worst video game launches of this decade. The letter directly calls out several issues employees claim to have faced from management, including founder Leslie Benzies. So there was a fair bit of hype around this game due to Leslie Benzies being attached to it, because he was the former president of, I think, of Rockstar North or something like that. We'd need to Google that to find out, but he was definitely involved with some of the earlier Grand Theft Auto games. So people were thinking, Mind's Eye, yes, it might be a futuristic sci-fi Grand Theft Auto. Sounds great. That wasn't the case. And then we're now hearing these things about the studio not being a very happy place and potentially staff not being treated well. The article goes on. This letter also mentions the studio implementing a mandatory 8 hours of overtime per week for every employee in the 4 months leading up to the game's launch. This sounds like crunch we hear about quite a lot in the gaming industry, which doesn't sound very good at all, does it? I don't fancy having to do that. Time off in lieu was given to the staff at 7 hours per every 8 worked, but they say that many employees have yet to be able to use any of the time off because of continued requests for extra high priority work, even after launch. That sounds like they're all just working hard to try and actually fix the game here. The employees, both current and former, are demanding a public apology for the mistreatment as well as proper compensation for those who were let go. What do we all think about this? Has anyone checked out Mind's Eye? Will anyone be checking it out? When you hear stories like this, kind of puts me off playing games like this when I hear staff not being treated well. Don't really want to support things like that. Moving on to something a bit happier. Push Square are reporting we have got 2 new animated wallpapers which you can activate in your PlayStation 5. One of them is for, yep, you guessed it, Battlefield 6, and it is the image which I used on the thumbnail for the previous Gaming Coffee Club thumbnail on YouTube, and it is the Battlefield bright red background with the soldier with the red sky and the planes above him. It looks pretty cool. I think I will be setting that on my PlayStation. I'm getting a bit bored of the PS2 theme I've got. I need to mix it up a little bit, I think. And then the other one is from NBA 2K26. And if you're a big NBA fan, that one might be for you. So that's cool to see we're getting more of these added, which is nice. Hopefully we'll get some more in time for Christmas, maybe some festive ones. I would like to see that. Moving on to our next story, a game I'm really excited about, but curious to play because it is basically a live service game and it's a paid for one, so it's not a free one. Think kind of like Helldivers 2-esque. Actually looks a little bit like Helldivers 2 with a gameplay loop, but this game is Ark Raiders. If you've not seen anything about this, definitely worth checking out some of the trailers. I've been following this and excited for this for a long time. This was announced, I think, about 2 years ago or something at Gamescom or one of these events. or Summer Games Fest. It was something like that, and then it went quiet for a while. I thought it had been cancelled, and then it reappeared, and it's looking good. So this is from the same developers which brought you The Finals, which is a free-to-play FPS game, which is really cool, and it's got some amazing destruction in it. If you think Battlefield 6 has cool environmental destruction, go and check out The Finals. It's free to play. You can literally destroy all the buildings. It is crazy. But Arc Raiders, they are having a server slam open test. So basically like a beta test, which everyone can get involved in from October the 17th to the 19th. So you've basically got this weekend to get involved, download it, check it out. I think this one is well worth everyone's time diving into. It just looks a lot of fun. Some of the boss fights against big giant looking mechs look really, really cool. So I'm excited to see how this runs, what the gameplay loop actually feels like, because everything I've seen from the trailers, it looks mighty impressive. Very excited about this one. Let me know if you'll be checking out Arc Raiders this weekend on your PlayStation 5. Next up, we have more game news with the PlayStation Plus game catalog for October being announced by Sony. So this is for Premium and for Extra. And this is a great update for the Halloween month, which is really cool because there's a lot of spooky treats here for everyone to look forward to. And the headliner is Silent Hill 2, the PlayStation 5 remake of the classic from way back in 2001. If you're a big horror fan, you may have already picked this up, but if not, this is a great addition to the game catalog, and these will be available on the 21st of October. So I think that's Tuesday. Not got long to wait. Make sure you subscribe here. Also, I'll be playing all of these, which drop into cloud gaming beta on the PlayStation Portal to see which ones are the most fun to play on the portal. Next up, we've also got Until Dawn. Very cool. So this is basically a PS5 remake of a PS4 game. Does anyone actually think we need remakes of PS4 games? We've already seen that as well with, Horizon Zero Dawn getting a remake for PS5. I know that did have a big graphical uplift. Until Dawn, though, really good, scary game. I actually think the PS4 version looks better, which is interesting. So, yeah, this is cool. Slasher horror, where you're basically deciding the fate of everyone. If you're into your horror games, this is well worth checking out, definitely. Then we've got V Rising, which is a vampire survival action RPG. Looks pretty cool. You can also play this in solo or co-op, which is a nice touch. And then we have something to brighten the mood a little bit, Yakuza Like a Dragon. If you've played any of the Yakuza games, you know what to expect, but Like a Dragon is just even more crazy. Honestly, this game is wild. Turn-based combat, though, which is a little bit different from some of the other Yakuza games. And I think I said this in my previous video, if any of you watched it on YouTube where I was talking about this game. These just remind me of Shenmue, the Dreamcast classic. Shenmue was like the basis for all of these Yakuza games, and there's some lineup of Yakuza games available now. It's a very successful, long-running series and franchise. So if you've never played this, well worth checking this out. Really fun game. Like literally, you'll be fighting people, picking up traffic cones and baseball bats in the street. Really good time. Then we've got Poppy Playtime Chapter 1, which I really know nothing about. I assume it's another scary game here. So yeah, that's been added. As Dusk Falls is another one which has been added, which actually really interests me. It looks like an animated comic. It is a very unique art style, and it's one of these visual story novel type games again also, and it's from the lead designer behind Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. So if you like them, you will like this interactive drama. I will be checking this one out, and I think this will be really good for on the PlayStation Portal because we don't need to worry about any fast twitch or lag or anything like this in an interactive story. Next up, we have Wizard with a Gun, which is an online sandbox survival game for up to 1 to 4 players set in a magical wilderness. This game does actually look quite fun. So I will be checking this one out also. And then the granddaddy of fighting games, oh yes, is returning to PlayStation. Tekken 3. Oh, King of the Iron Fist tournament. Oh yes, Tekken 3 is the best Tekken game in my opinion and the best fighting game probably ever. I just love Tekken 3. I have such a soft spot in my heart for it. I remember the official PlayStation magazine back in the day had a special demo disc, and it was just this black case with the Tekken 3 logo on it. It was just a sticker, obviously, but it looked really cool. And that was my first taste of Tekken 3. I played that demo so much. Then I got the game, and wow, it just took things to a new level. It introduced us to Jin Kazama and then Eddie Gordo. I mean, what a character Eddie Gordo was. I'd never seen a character move like that in a fighting game, doing all the capoeira moves. It was unbelievable. Amazing for button bashing, but frustrating when you're playing against him. Sorry. Also, Horang, the Taekwondo practitioner, who I remember playing this against my mate, one of my mates years ago, like when it was actually out originally back in the day, and he played as Horang, and my god, he just kicked the living daylights out of me. He would just kick me up to the air and then just juggle me. I just couldn't do anything. It was a brutal, and I thought I was going to wipe the floor with him with Eddie Gordo, but that did not happen. Anyways, one of the best games ever. I'm so happy this is coming back to PlayStation, and I say coming back because it's not available to buy, which is frustrating because it's so good. But in reading the blurb about this, there was something really interesting. So as expected, it comes with, all the modes we expect: arcade mode, versus mode, team battle mode, so on and so forth. But one thing here it says is you can experience Tekken 3's world at its very best with an all new CGI opening and unique endings for each character, exclusive to the home console release. So is this just the way it was back in the day, they mean? Because Tekken 3 home console version had this, but the arcade version didn't? Or are we actually getting all new, all new enhanced CGI visuals for the opening and for the endings? I don't know. I'm excited to find out for myself. What game are you excited to play from this month's PlayStation Plus update? And do you think it's a good one? Is it a thumbs up or is it a thumbs down? Let me know in the comments. And speaking of Tekken 3, this brings us to our Coffee Club question of the week. I asked you all, answer for your chance to be featured in this week's podcast. Thank you very much to everyone who replied. So with Tekken 3 arriving finally on PlayStation Plus, it's got me wondering, what was the best PlayStation game from 1998? Sound off in the comments. P.S. How stacked was 1998? What a great year. And I put up this image with a bunch of box art from PlayStation games which were released then. And geez, we were spoiled in 1998. I'll read out just a few for you listening. Metal Gear Solid, probably one of the greatest games ever. We've got Dead or Alive. We've got Spyro the Dragon. We've got Resident Evil 2. That is an absolutely epic game. There's Crash Bandicoot in there. I think that might be Crash Team Racing, is it? I'm not sure what that is. I can't really tell. The image is that small. We've got Gran Turismo, Tekken 3, Tomb Raider 3, Twisted Metal 3. And then there's this game as well, which I'm happy was included in this image, because I remember this being promoted as if the best graphics ever in a game. I never played it, but I'm tempted to get my hands on this for a series I'm working on for the YouTube channel. And it's a Bruce Willis game. He's in it, and it's called Apocalypse. I remember reading the gaming magazines back in the day, and there was all these features about how good the visuals were in this game. So yeah, I'm curious to check that one out. But enough about that. What did you all say? So we had a lot of great comments here, and we've got here Stephen Early 4057 says Resident Evil 2. Loved Spyro though back in the day too. Brilliant. Then we've got Christopher Murphy saying most popular was probably Metal Gear or RE2. Also two of my favourites. That's probably the two I would pick. I would struggle to pick between them. And then we've got 8-Bit Pro 85 with an awesome comment here saying, I consider 1998 as the best year in gaming that I've ever experienced. So that's high praise. There you go. So this one is very hard to answer for me as far as an experience that I would never forget and something I've never seen in gaming before. I would have to say Metal Gear Solid. Gran Turismo is an extremely close second. I'm going to have to agree with that. We've also got here Ty Ross, number one. I think that's how you say the name. Apologies if it's wrong. Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil 2, and Gran Turismo. If I had to pick one, it would have to be Metal Gear Solid. Snake, Snake, Snake! And if you played Metal Gear Solid, you'll know exactly what that is all about. Yeah, so thank you very much, everyone who commented. Every week I'll be putting up a post of the week or a poll of the week, or both on our YouTube community page. And I'll always be reading out some of your comments just to get you all involved in the podcast, because that is what this is all about. We're sitting here chilling with our coffee. You might have a beer. Who knows? Who am I to judge? If it was the weekend, I would be having one of them too, or a glass of wine. Who knows? Just whatever. We just chill out here and talk about all the gaming news. That is what this podcast is all about. But my pick, I really can't see past Metal Gear Solid. As a few of you have said, it was just a revolutionary game. I've never played a game that has so many moments in it that were just seared into my memory. Like, remember playing against Psycho Mantis in the boss fight and he reads your memory card? As a kid, you were sitting there going, what? Is my PlayStation possessed? How is this happening? And then I'm sure it was him as well. To defeat him, you had to actually switch your controller port. So you had to pull the controller out and plug it into the other port on the front of the console. It was a game that was so far ahead of its time. Even all the story building and all the dialogue, when you were in the communicator, what was it called? Autocon? Why am I saying that? That's who you were talking to, wasn't it? But it was just groundbreaking. Even all the stealth mechanics and yeah, I think it's got to be Metal Gear Solid. What do you all think the best game on PlayStation from 1998 was? Go over and check out that post on our community feed on YouTube and get your comments in. Thank you everyone who commented. Now let's move on to our next story. Our next news story is around the PlayStation 6 and its release date. And we have got a story here on Video Games Chronicle, which is saying that the PlayStation 6 and the next Xbox console are both aiming for a 2027 release date. Separate reports claim. So this is quite interesting. So we've got Kepler L2, who he's basically an insider. I say he, I don't know. They are an insider and they have been pretty on the ball with their AMD hardware leaks in the past. And he is claiming that the PlayStation 7 is locked in, the PlayStation 6, is locked in for 2027. And he states it is not just on the table, it is the plan unless any unexpected delays happen. And then we also had Moore's Law is Dead post a video over on his YouTube channel about the AMD Magnus APU, which he says is set to form part of Microsoft's next-gen console. So this is basically the chip inside the new Xbox console if it ever appears. And it is also targeting a 2027 launch, apparently. But the interesting thing here is they also mention when discussing the console's large APU, this is the Xbox one, which combines the CPU and GPU on a single chip. He said, it should be stronger than the PlayStation 6, but at the same time, it will be much more expensive because of this larger size and its use of bridge dies and likely a larger RAM capacity compared to the PS6, at least if it wants to work well as a PC console hybrid. Very interesting. What do we think about that? That doesn't bother me at all, to be honest, because Xbox went that route previously with the Series X. The Series X was more powerful than the PlayStation 5. It really didn't help because developers have their target platform and they have been basically developing and optimizing the games for the most popular platform, which is currently the PlayStation 5, if you think about AAA home console space. So it really didn't make a difference. And in a bizarre, turn of events, even Xbox's own first party games, when they have now came to PlayStation 5, are running better on PS5 than they are on Xbox, which is really kind of bizarre. So interesting news here that 2027 is the date. I thought Xbox might have tried to go earlier to get the jump on PlayStation, but 2027 sounds about right for me, for a PlayStation 6. We are almost at the end of 2025, so it's kind of about 2 years. Maybe in a year or so, or 16 months or 18 months time, we'll actually get some official word from Sony about this thing. What do we think about what do we make of a PlayStation 6 in 2027? A lot of people still feel like this generation is still just getting started and really just starting to cook. And then a new machine might be on the way. And we've also had the PlayStation 5 Pro. What do we all think of a PlayStation 6 in 2027 then? Is that something we're excited about? Do we feel this generation is just starting to cook that we're in right now with the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Pro? How much of a jump in terms of game quality or innovation is the PlayStation 6 going to be over, something like the PlayStation 5 Pro? I'm really interested based on what Mark Cerny was saying, which we discussed in the last Gaming Coffee Club. Go and check that out if you've not listened or seen it. It seems like it's all centered around AI upscaling, ray tracing, basically doing more with the hardware instead of just trying to brute force it with more powerful hardware. So we have got an interesting time ahead with PlayStation and Xbox taking seemingly quite different paths. Now, the next news story may have Call of Duty shaking in its boots. Battlefield 6 has sold 7 million copies. EA says it's the biggest launch in franchise history and immediately imagines a connected Battlefield universe. That made me chuckle. Like, why does everyone need to have a connected universe? Like, Marvel, I feel, has just ruined a lot of franchises because everything needs to have a universe now. No, it doesn't. Just make a good Battlefield 6 and then make a really good Battlefield 7. That's all we ask. Don't get ahead of yourself. However, Battlefield is the fastest selling entry in the storied FPS series, with over 7 million copies since its October the 10th launch. That is impressive. I'm even surprised by that. That is really, really good. And it will be interesting to see how Call of Duty fares because there's really not a lot of hype about the new Black Ops versus Battlefield this year. So this might be there for the taking for Battlefield. And EA is even more excited about the game's roadmap, as they have said Battlefield 6's explosive launch is the first step to building a connected Battlefield universe for the franchise, with Season 1 releasing imminently on October the 28th. The publisher says, wow, okay. Who knows what that is going to entail? A connected universe? Are we going to get some Battlefield spin-offs here? A Battlefield movie? Series? I don't know. Next up is a game you can play for free this weekend. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 is getting a free demo on October the 16th. And yet it's limited time, so it's only this weekend. That is why I'm letting you all know. And this is a good one. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. I've played Space Marine 1. That is a absolute classic from PS3, Xbox 360 days. That's a brilliant game. This one is on my wish list. I've not pulled the trigger yet and got my hands on it. As I keep saying, my backlog is ridiculous. It's ever expanding. I need to get more effective and efficient at playing through my games instead of dabbling in multiple ones. However, this is live from October the 16th to the 20th for consoles and until the 23rd for PC via Steam. So they get a little bit longer, which is good for them, I guess. And there's only certain things you can do. So it includes 2 campaign missions, 3 operations, and almost all PvP modes. And your progress will carry over to the full game if you decide to actually pull the trigger and get your hands on this. For the Emperor, definitely check this one out. I will be jumping into this because it looks spectacular. Our next story, we are expanding the gaming sphere here over at Eurogamer, and we're talking about the PlayStation concerts. Yes, PlayStation's troubled concert tour cancels more European dates due to unexpected reasons. Refunds are available. Now, I actually went to this when it was here in the UK, and this doesn't surprise me that it is being cancelled. I thought they really phoned it in. The actual performers, so the actual orchestra and the singer, one of the singers, she was absolutely amazing. The actual music was fantastic, but they pitched this though as an experience, for PlayStation fans. And the actual set design, I feel they fell flat on. It was literally like three kind of bits of cloth, one huge one at the back, and then two longer bits at the sides, which they would lift up and drop down every so often. And they were just projecting images onto it from the games. There really wasn't anything else. I was expecting a lot of other elements, like maybe, a lots of different lights, lasers, smoke, fire, anything. It just felt super flat. And when I went to see it also, we bought tickets right at launch, and they moved everyone down from, the arena seating on the walls right down to the floor. It was just basically floor seating pretty much. And I think then the first tier, it was not busy at all. And glad that I went with, a few of my best mates, and we had a good laugh anyways, because it was just not good. I really was disappointed. And another thing which blew my mind, the merchandise prices were extortionate. I mean, ridiculous. They were like, like really basic printed t-shirts were like £50 and stuff like that. Like they had jackets and hoodies, and it was like £100, £90. It was like, what is going on? Like, no, not how you do it, Sony. So that's a shame. This could have been something really special and spectacular. I think it could still be if they brought it back and maybe took on board a little bit of my advice here. The performers, as I have said, were fantastic, but the actual show was really quite bland and nowhere near as special as I was expected. And I've been to other concert type things where it is orchestra type music. I went to see Hans Zimmer before, and it was absolutely brilliant. It was really, really good. So yeah, this was not a patch on that. So disappointing, because you want these things to do well, so they do more cool things like this, but they need to rethink this one, in my opinion. And then moving on to something which was done really, really well in the video game world, the Fallout TV show. Yes, we're over at Insider Gaming, and the season 2 release date. When is season 2 of Fallout going to be dropping? Well, we now know it is going to be released on December the 17th, 2025. Yes. So this will be great for watching over the festive period when we're all chilling out and stuff like that. The one thing though, which is a little bit, disappointing depending on your point of view on this, when season 1 dropped, they dropped all of the episodes in one batch, and you could just binge them or watch them at your own pace. That is not happening this time. We are going to be getting them each week. So it's going to run from December the 17th, first episode, and the final episode will be on February the 4th. So that's 8 episodes we're getting. And it looks like it's Fallout New Vegas. So very, very excited about this. Fallout to me is probably the best video game live action adaptation I've ever seen, which just nailed everything. It was done so well and raised the bar, and makes me think, see if they could just do that with some other franchises, it would be fantastic. They just nailed it. Are you excited about the new season of Fallout? Have you watched the first season? If not, go and check it out right now. It's on Amazon Prime. It is fantastic. I will actually link down below on the YouTube video of this podcast some free trial links. If you click on it and sign up, you'll get a week free or a month free, I can't remember what it is, to Amazon Prime, and then you can just binge watch it. It is so good. definitely do that. And if you want more insight and info and to see a little bit of the gameplay for the new PlayStation Plus games, which are coming for October, all these spooky games, make sure you check out the video on screen right now to see what you have got to look forward to. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, thank you very much. Make sure you leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it and leave me a comment, as I love chatting to you all.